Kamala Harris is dressing to be president. Over the last week, as Kamala Harris has stepped into the spotlight as a likely Democratic nominee for president, she's done so with a high wattage smile, a pump culture boost, and a cascade of endorsements. Suddenly, everything about her seems to have been electrified, except one thing: her clothes. In her campaign stop in Milwaukee, Indianapolis, Wilmington, Delaware, Pittsfield, Massachusetts, Central Florida, Ms. Harris has appeared in the neutral pantsuits she adopted as her vice presidential uniform in shades of black, dark blue, burgundy, and beige, with the occasional jolt of pink or baby blue. The rest of the world may be embracing the Kamala is back meme in all of its acid green glory, but the candidate herself is not. Instead, she's wearing her usual tone-on-tone silk shells and blue trousers, and her usual signature pearl and 70 millimeter heels. And further, for the past 4 years, that was a perfect camouflage of the country's #2 executive. Somber, a differential, kind of dull, but it does not look presidential, some believe. It does not look presidential. Now, in an election in which so much is about one candidate is potentially pioneering, she could be the first female president, the first female president of color, the first president of South Asian descent. That is a key question. How you present yourself as a woman in leadership is an issue every woman in leadership has to consider, said Ashley Allison, chief executive of Watering Hole Media and a former Biden-Harris campaign advisor. Kamala Harris, she said, is trying to break what is potentially the biggest, thickest, largest glass ceiling there is. How she equips herself for that matters. It's not really about some objective measure of chic. It's not about being endorsed by Vogue, though Ms. Harris was. It's about what voters read into what Ms. Harris is wearing, how they relate to it. Clothes become, in many ways, a stand-in for all the feelings the electorate has about a candidate, good and bad, and especially about a female candidate. The Barbara Lee Family Foundation, a nonpartisan nonprofit focused on women in politics, has christened this factor the imagination barrier. When people are asked to close their eyes and conjure up a president, most of them picture what they have seen in the past. White, straight male Jennifer Palmieri, the former director of communications for Hillary Rodham Clinton's campaign, said her team used to call it the TJSAH issue because it came up so often. There's just something about her. TJSAH. Voters don't have a stereotype of what a woman in office looks like, said Amanda Hunter, the executive director of Barbara Lee Family Foundation. Harris is inventing it as she goes along. Treading the fashion needle? Harris knows this well. She's proved herself more than able to dip into fashion symbolism when she likes. She wore 3 different black designers for President Biden's inauguration, including Kirby Jean Reynolds of Payer Moss, Christopher John Rogers, and Sergio Hudson. She wore a white Carolina Herrera suit in honor of the woman who came before her on the evening Mr. Biden declared victory in the 2020 election, the first time she had done so during the campaign. Her decision to stick with her suits is not a default, it's tactical. We know perfectly well that she's going to be scrutinized for her appearance more than male candidates, Ms. Hunter said. We found in a study done 2 years ago that voters have even less tolerance for flyaway hair and a wrinkly collar for a woman candidate than a man. They see it all as a tell and identification of sloppy thinking. Clothes have historically been the territory of the First Lady. She is the one who has been charged with using her image as a tool of soft diplomacy to reach across borders. with being relatable, with representing a local industry. Clothes, when it comes to elected office, have been used to diminish women to make them seem less substantive than what they are. For years, the solution was that what might be called the lady politician garb, as popularized by such leaders as Mrs. Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, Angela Merkel, Elizabeth Warren, which is to say a man's suit in fruit salad colors, like a compromise made to bridge the masculine-feminine divide. It's only recently that fashion has been seized on by women themselves as a potential weapon for good. Miss Clinton used to joke about her rainbow closet. Nikki Haley used actual dresses and skirts and shoes to underscore her difference from every mini-me Republican contender on the debate stage. Harris, however, has taken a different approach. I call them just the facts, ma'am clothes, said Tammy Haddad, former producer on the HBO show Veep and the president of Haddad Media. The one key thing for any female candidate is how you walk across the stage. You want to have impact, but not too much impact. You want clothes that are flattering, but not too flattering. And you want to look commanding, but not too commanding. If you are Kamala Harris, you want to be buttoned up, but with only one button. You want a heel, but a medium one. You want to suggest fashion without being too fashionable. The occasional dip into casual wear. Harris is a fan of Chuck Taylor's. It helps, as does her solution to black tie work events, which allows her to stand out while sticking to her own sober color palette and straight lines. What does a president wear? Realistically, Harris did not really have a choice, and not just because the move from vice president to presidential candidate happened so quickly that she couldn't rush out and buy a whole new wardrobe. Rather, any clear style switcheroo could have been weaponized against her, any example of flip-flopping and vanity. People would notice that, and that would be the story, Hadid said. Instead, Harris went for consistency, a bit of realpolitik that serves a variety of purposes. It is a visual refutation of caricature Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have been trying to create of the crazy liberal, or Lara Trump's comparison of Kamala Harris and a designer trash bag. It underscores the idea, Palmieri said, that she was drafted rather than inserted herself like a pushy woman, and it's a reminder of the last 4 years, for good or bad, and the way Harris looked while meeting with world leaders or walking under the White House portico with Joe Biden. Still, the attention is going to become more and more intense in the run-up to the election. Is it unfair? Yes, of course. Barack Obama acknowledged the double standard when he said of Clinton, she had to do everything that I had to do except like Ginger Rogers, backward in heels. She had to wake up earlier than I did because she had to get her hair done. She had to handle it with expectations that were placed on her. When Hillary Clinton didn't do it, when she stuck her hair back into a ponytail, it led to an entire discourse on the meaning of the scrunchie. And as much as possible, Kamala Harris, by wearing the same old, has taken fashion off the table as a talking point. The better to focus on her actual talking points. That may be frustrating to those who want her to represent what? The country woman, black woman in a more exciting way. And perhaps if she won the election, her wardrobe would change to meet the moment. There will be plenty of people happy to weigh in on how she should look if the time comes, no doubt. For now, however, it's likely she'll keep her uniform, just as pretty much every candidate has before her, because, as Mr. Obama once said, it lessens the number of decisions she has to make in a day. It's fit for purpose. Kamala Harris seems to have internalized that idea a long time ago, said Palmieri, but also, what does a president wear? He wears a dark suit. Maybe in November, Ms. Harris will have the opportunity to smash that barrier too, but not yet. This was originally from New York Times. It's on DNYUZ. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.